Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Roots and Branches. I'm Christine Mola, your host. So in our last episode, we spoke with Naomi Rafalowitz, and we were talking about what it means to return home to yourself, to reconnect with your identity, your worth, and your sense of belonging. But once you rediscover who you are, another challenge often appears. Letting yourself be seen, right? Many women spend years building strength, confidence, and success while quietly keeping parts of themselves hidden. As Miss Typhanie over here is laughing, it's so true, you know? And not because they lack brilliance or purpose, but because visibility can feel vulnerable. So today's conversation is about the fear of being seen, the silence many women live in, and the courage it takes to step forward with your voice, your truth, and your leadership. And I am so grateful to be sitting next to and beside with this wonderful woman whose work is centered on helping others claim clarity and confidence in their own lives, Miss Typhanie Winfield-Alexander.
Hello.
So I just did a little song and dance there. So I am going to, as I say to all our guests, I'm going to give you a little moment and blow up. All right, your nest right now. So
Love
take
that.
off the glasses so I can read. So Typhanie is one of our many experienced life coaches, right? And your expertise helps individuals and teams create transformational shifts, right? In mindset, goal setting, and personal leadership. Mm-hmm. So you are a full-time working mama, because I know one of your daughters, who I love so much, Belle. That's how we met, Ms.
Yes.
Belle. And you're wife and mom, and you have a strong background in early childhood education, right?
Over 25 years.
25 years, that's a lot, which brings you a deeply practical and compassionate perspective, right? Helping people move from uncertainty into clarity and confidence.
Yeah.
And you are the founder of Momentum Life Mastery Coaching.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome to our tea
I'm so glad
conversation
to be
today.
here.
So this came about, and Typhanie became a guest. Of course, we've known each other for a bit now, but I was doing my little LinkedIn stalking as I was doing research, and I had noticed, and it's kind of relevant to what I'm going through and others are going through right now about that being seen thing, all right, that you had posted this really eloquent post about feeling weird and strange about your own visibility, your own headshots, your marketing not really being about you, but about the flowers and the stones of, healing and things like that, right?
Right.
And that, it made me giggle because I'm like, oh, hello, and because coming out is tough, right?
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to start there.
Sure. So it's funny you mentioned the stones and the flowers, all of the woo woo.
All the woo woo. I love the woo woo though.
I do love the woo woo. I will say that I did spend quite a lot of time hiding behind some of the woo woo, the waterfalls,
Absolutely.
the sunrises,
Comfortable.
the mountains, the grasslands, the animals, and those are all wonderful things. And I actually don't remember how many posts that I made that never had my face or voice on them.
I know.
Like I had all this, like you said, these eloquent words that I wanted to express, and I had these ideas and these little epiphanies that that have come along. But I, for whatever reason, at that time was not comfortable putting my name and face and voice to those ideas. And I couldn't
Doing
tell
the scary
you,
thing. Yeah.
Putting yourself out there, whether or not it was going to be received, whether or not it was going to be met with opposition, because I can tell you, I was definitely not a confrontational person.
And you are not. Oh my gosh.
And so just this idea of being vulnerable, putting your own ideas out there, letting yourself be seen was not something I was comfortable with.
No.
And it was actually one of my coaches, because coaches have coaches.
We all have coaches.
And therapists, if they're
coaches be coaching and coached.
Coaching and coached and held and supported through all of it.
That, yeah.
They did have that conversation with me that says, this is wonderful. I'm just curious about why is it that we don't see you? And it actually made me really think about and connect with, I haven't been comfortable being seen, being perceived. And so the idea being, well, if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't show people who you are, if you don't tell people who you are,
how are they going to see you?
How are they going to know? They're going to form their own opinions, or they may even not be correct, right? So they may draw their own story or say, well, this is who I think she is. Since you don't have your own voice out there and you don't have your own face out there, someone else will be glad to identify you.
They will be glad to identify you, and that brings me to the thought of the internal voice, right, versus the external voice and the external just in general.
Sure.
I spoke to Naomi and the other ladies about this too. We are our own, best judgers. And I keep, and again, staying away from that worst critic thing, but we are our best judgers, right? And those voices of, hey, I just put out new headshots too. I just chopped off all my hair too. I'm like, this is a new place to be seen. How do we transition?
Well, right. I have to tell you, you mentioned headshots. That brings up a visceral memory. Okay. Once I finally did get over the hurdle of posting like legitimately my first face shot on my business page, and trust me, I agonized over that for hours.
And you're so beautiful, but that's the way it is. We see each other ourselves differently. Yeah.
And not to mention, I was still kind of learning like the filters and stuff too. So the picture,
which are very helpful.
It was the selfie, it was the filters, it was the cropping, it was all of these things to just show up. And I made it so complicated to just
that's
show
amazing.
Up.
Yeah.
So once I finally did start getting comfortable giving pictures and putting video out, I stayed there for a long time. And I mean like years. Yeah. My own photos, my own selfies, the angles, because you have to have the angles, you have to catch the lighting.
Right. The up is best when you're
up
looking.
Up is best. You want to make sure that chin is stretched and your eyes are catching the twinkle of the sun and all that good stuff, right?
That's fantastic. Yeah.
But I had done that part for so long, and I had only been able to see myself based on my own perception. And so I went to this event. It was a ladies' event. It was a brunch, and then there were speakers there, and there happened to be a photographer who was there doing, promotional shots for the event, but she was also saying things like, oh, have you had a headshot? When was your last headshot? Kind of thing. And so she offered headshots for $25. So one headshot for $25, which is a steal, by the way, if you ever see that.
For sure.
And I was like, oh, okay, I'm not dressed for it. My hair's not done. Whatever. Let me do it. It's $25. This woman picked up such energy, her angles, her own vibe, and I saw a different side of myself from her professional photos.
She saw you.
She saw me.
I love that.
In a way that I hadn't.
That's a big deal. Wow.
And it elevated how I saw myself in business.
I get chills.
It was that serious. Yeah. And so from that one experience, I think she ended up giving me, because you had that one for $25, and of course there's a package, right? There's always like the little upsell.
Yes, that's a carrot.
It's a carrot, little, we're gonna. It's a lead magnet, right?
For sure. Mm-hmm.
There were additional photos available for again a significantly discounted price. So for $125, I now had 20 shots of not just head, but full body, in motion, black and white shots. And she really captured, we had such fun in that moment. Wow. And it changed everything of how I saw, well, you know what? I've been showing up safely. I've been showing up small. I've been showing up, frankly, cheap, right? Because I was doing my own stuff.
Wow.
And then
of value,
right. but
yeah, I get it.
But I wasn't at that place.
You were extra cautious on where you were going to take the next leap
and where to invest and how to invest. And so, about a year after that whole interaction, I started to do research on her, how she worked. She's a very heart-centered photographer.
So I wonder if I could pause us there just for 2 seconds, because I kind of I have this thing of what I envision you being behind or in front of that camera. All right. And you walked into a room and you met someone who saw you. Right. And when, and I just want to reflect on that for a second, because that's a beautiful moment in our own journeys when we actually walk into rooms with women, men, like-minded individuals that actually begin to see us, and how that shifts us and pivots us into a new perspective of how we see ourselves. And just in general, personal and professionally. So thanks for letting me pause there. But that just, I needed to feel that and have others feel that for a second, you know?
Well, and also because she could see a different side of me, she validated for me something that I had been struggling with, because it took over a year for me to select a branding photographer because, and you know, no shade to anyone's style.
Yeah, of course.
But I was not the red bottom heel, you know, blazer, you know.
Oh, you mean
posed.
That hat tells you all, sweetheart.
You know, that wasn't me. Like I wasn't the power, you know, photo shoot. I didn't want to be in the office, for example.
And to be authentic.
Right. And I saw so many beautiful shoots that were just showing these women in these power suits and these power colors, and they were in offices and, you know, at podiums, and their shots were gorgeous. But when I saw myself, I didn't see myself in those settings. Absolutely. And so she says, oh no. She's like, no, I don't see that for you at all. I said, well, what do you have in mind? Like, give me some thoughts. And when I tell you, she and we spent 4 hours together. And during that time, we had fields, we had trees, we had beach, we had outdoor coffee shop.
She met you where you were.
She met me where I was.
She met you where you were.
And we had beautiful shots
and then some.
And professional shots and shots that really allowed me to show who I was as a coach, but also sides of me, doing yoga near the brook, walking through fields, and the beach pictures. Oh my gosh.
Well, we're going to have to look for those.
For sure.
But that's the visibility. She actually, you know, and she almost took that fear right out of you. She yanked that fear right out of you. So she was a very viable individual, valued individual coming into your life in that part of your journey.
For sure.
Divinely sent.
And it didn't take any time. So we started getting ready, and she took a few, like, I guess you would call them test shots, warm-up shots. And within 10 minutes, I was so fully comfortable in my skin. Finally comfortable in my skin in front of the camera. And so I definitely owe
your
her
confidence.
a lot.
Confidence. Your confidence became a practice after that.
Because I could trust it.
Yes.
Because I could trust that it was real and it was true and it wasn't a perception, right? Because now I had proof. I had pictures.
You're like, look at me. I'm actually beautiful. Right.
It's so cool.
And that's huge, you know, and it is our journey as women and men, okay? Because I have this conversation with men too that have that inner turmoil of as we grow older, as we shift careers, whatever may be that bridge that we're going through, being seen is immensely challenging at times.
And not just being seen, but trusting yourself to be seen in your authenticity. And again, everyone goes through this journey in their own ways. But it took a while for me to wear makeup, right? Because I wasn't comfortable drawing extra attention to myself. But then it was like, also, I can be comfortable wearing makeup because it doesn't make me someone I'm not. It just enhances
That's it.
that moment.
And you didn't mind. You were at a point where, like, you know, I'm loving this. So we can put a little color on here.
Right.
You know, we don't even want to speak to what the younger generation is going through with the technology and things like that. You know, that's a whole other show. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But as this generation, Gen Xers and most of us in that, we didn't have all of that as young people, but we still had the same challenges.
We still had the same pressures.
Correct.
We just didn't have the same amount of visibility. Right. We didn't have social media.
But now we are meeting that.
We are.
Right? We have to. In order to stay relevant, be in business, be entrepreneurs, soulpreneurs, however we identify, we do. We need to be seen. We need to love being seen.
Yeah. And I think that what I think, you know, there's going to be studies for years about COVID and the shutdown.
Sure.
You know, who knows? There'll be entire courses taught on this subject.
Yeah. It'll be amazing to see that, by the way, right? Yeah.
But I think what it did do is it allowed us to get in touch with ourselves in ways that maybe we hadn't had the time before. But then also we had to sit and face some things. Like, we had to sit still.
We did.
And we had to learn us.
Can we talk about that for a second? That
Please.
whole Zoom thing that came through, and I referred to ourselves as Zoomologists at the time, right? Like, all of a sudden we all became Zoomologists, and now we are very professional Zoomologists at this time.
True.
But now that's a practice that has come into our lives of being seen, teaching, and things. But back then, you can probably relate, and most of those listening here can relate, that we just were seeing ourselves. And so, like, am I really having that resting face right now? I need to smile. And then you're smiling, and then you're like, that's weird. How come I'm smiling like that? So.
And then not to mention all the guru types that came out of that. Here's how you do it the right way, right? Here's how you do
the right way.
A real online class. Here's how you coach online correctly. And so then there was that whole thing. It was like, do I really need to learn like this
how to
step
be a
process? To how to, and so then that turned away from all of that packaged, sales, spammy, packaged coaching and packaged services and packaged coursework, which I'm sure had its place, but did not resonate for me at all in the slightest. Yeah. Having conversations and showing up authentically was where I lived and breathed. And that's when I was able to thrive, because I was just showing up. And then showing up and saying, you know what, here's what's going on with me today. Yeah. And if that's okay with you, we'll continue. Yeah. And it was okay.
And if it's okay, right. And it was okay. Absolutely.
And if your child came running into the screen, or your pet started barking, or your cat went across the camera, that was life.
Do you know that actually brought life to us? Yes. And we laughed in a time where everything was a little scary, right? Jammies on the bottom. It was like that whole business in the front, party in the back, haircut. What was that?
It wasn't just about being seen, but it was about redefining what was like, how am I comfortable being seen, and just not having to feel like you were all the time on a stage with a spotlight on you.
And it gave us a certain sense of permission, a different kind of permission, right? To just step into it. I can say personally, and I know many of us that feel the same. We did begin a new journey of being a completely different version of ourselves while retaining our core. Yeah. All right. Or maybe actually figuring out what that core was.
What does it look like?
What does that look like now? You know? And it was a major transition and transformation, collectively, globally, and personally in so many ways. And again, giving ourselves that permission to just show up in that authenticity. And it also, when we spoke with Typhanie in an earlier episode about meeting that servant leadership too, we stood up, right? Get comfy.
Listen.
Get comfy, my friend. We stood up. Yeah.
So one of the things that I think COVID also did is we had to face either showing up authentically or not showing up, right? Because there was a time when if things were going haywire or you were going through certain things, there was like this mask, or there was this rescheduling, or there was I can't put it out if it's not perfect kind of thing. And so if you bought into that, right, and you were only showing up when things were okay, and you were only showing up when you felt right or perfect, then there were going to be months and sometimes like a year or two before you would show up, because things were never going to be perfect. So we did have to learn how to adjust and accept imperfection without judgment.
Releasing that outcome. I mean, I can even say, Steve is our media guy here, Steve Seymour. Hi, Steve. And, we go through this process, and he's fantastic, by the way, Seymour Media, in the beginning of even starting this podcast, the perfection value of it. And we just had to release that. And it began with being seen a few years ago, right? The podcasting started to come about, all of that, giving ourselves permission to say, you know what, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
And, and the advice that you always hear, really, nobody really cares. They do, but honestly, no, they don't. They just want to go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. They don't care. And here's why they don't care: because you're a real person and they can relate to it. I would say that there's more mistrust and disdain for someone who shows up as if they were perfect. Then you're like, okay, well, good for you. I'm glad that that's working out for you. But in my life, I have difficulties. I have troubles. And I think that they can relate when you say, you know what, I've been up until 2:00 in the morning trying to solve this problem. Or, I'm sorry, I'm running a few minutes late. I was dealing with a thing with my child, and fortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you human?
A human being.
Right.
An actual human being. And so I think they can relate more and frankly trust more that they're dealing with somebody who actually can empathize with what they're going through and might actually get it and not just say that they get it.
And offer up conversation in these kinds of ways and just talking about it, you know? There's this interesting little concept that's happening, and I have a post that's going to be showing up soon, is on that trust recession that we're having. That, I heard that from one of the founder of eWomenNetwork, which I'm a director for, Sandra Yancey. She said that trust recession of, and that's a really loaded, phrase right there, but it begins with authenticity. All right. Showing up in these ways. So, my dear friend, as we wrap up this conversation, we like to leave this, and there's allergies, excuse me. But about being authentic.
Welcome to New England.
Right.
In the
It's
springtime.
a gorgeous day out here today. Right. And it's all over the place. It's like, I'm lucky I don't have a tissue stuffed right here right now.
My voice is probably like just a slight octave lower than it normally is because I'm
very
trying
like
not
this.
to like talk through my stuffy nasally nose. Welcome to New England in spring.
Absolutely. So again, a little listener wisdom. All right. We like to, end the conversations with that. So what is one question that we can ask ourselves, or our listeners can ask themselves maybe, that we can sort of download here now in the moment, that will help them give themselves permission to be seen and to be heard? What is it that we think we can offer our listeners in that moment?
I have recovered from a lot of catastrophic thinking, whereby in any given moment, I would have anxiety from the worst case scenario, as if I was going through the worst case scenario in that
chills
moment.
Again.
Right? So heart fluttering, starting to sweat, those kinds of things, indecision, jitteriness. And so instead of resisting that catastrophic thinking outright, I started to notice it and say, okay, and now what?
Yeah.
Also, right? So here's the worst possible thing that I'm fearing in this moment that could happen. And my history has proven that when I have faced difficult situations, I have figured it out. I have asked for help. I have come through things in the past already, past evidenced, that I didn't think I would have been able to handle. And it's already history now to refer from. So now when a situation happens and it's the fear starts to creep up and I start to catastrophize, like, okay, what would I do if that happened? What are my options? And now what? Also, what next?
Love that. I love that language that you just used, catastrophical thinking. That is so powerful, and it is something that we all do, if not every day. What an amazing thing to just say, okay, I'm in that moment right now. I'm going to stop. I'm going to pause. I'm going to give myself a minute. Simple.
And feel it.
And feel it.
Because whatever the feelings are valid.
Yeah.
It's not the feelings that are what sometimes is a barrier for us. It's what we do after we feel or don't do, right?
Yeah.
Because
Out of fear.
doing a thing
Right.
or not doing a thing, either way is a choice. So it's really giving yourself permission to lean into whatever that moment is there to teach you.
Beautiful.
But not stay stuck there.
Absolutely.
The also and then what? The comma instead of the period.
I love it. The comma instead of the period, ... To be continued
Right.
always. So we're going to leave ourselves with that today.
Okay.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. So stop, pause, breathe, let those 3 dots go, and just send it up to the universe for some help as well, because that is an incredibly powerful thing.
Listen, as Gen Xers, we are never letting go of the ellipses.
No.
Okay. They
You give me, I got way too many goosebumps in this conversation today. You're cracking me up. Don't let go. Never let go, Jack. Typhanie, a pleasure. Thank you so much,
Thank
my
you for
friend.
having me.
Absolutely.
This was
and
wonderful.
Everyone, it was a delight to be here today to get in contact with this amazing woman. All of her contact information will be in the show notes, along with mine, along with Mr. Steve Media behind the camera. And everybody, thanks for being a part of Roots and Branches today. We'll see you.
And I do have to say,
Please do.
I do have to say, I will do a special shout out for my photographer, because I'm telling you,
Let's do that.
if you are looking for heart-centered, someone who will see you and have that elevated branding experience, I will make sure and share that with you too, because she's amazing.
She will be in the show notes. I love that because, that's just something to leave us with. Thanks so much. All right. That's it for today on Roots and Branches. And there's more to come, to be continued. And until I see you again, stay rooted, stay rising, and always stay blooming. Thanks so much. Bye.